channel, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. My name is tonibryanne, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing the question, is it a preference or are you racist? I have not done a video like this in so long, mainly because I do not have time for people speaking and trying to admonish my points being made, because my points are pretty reasonable, but guess what? I'm gonna say what needs to be said regardless. Now, before we get into today's video, I would like to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is the Favona brand. The Favona brand takes pride in providing their customers with high-quality personal care products. From yoni steaming to personal bath soaks, you will be able to fully embrace your body, take care of your body, and cherish it. If you guys do not know what yoni steaming is short for vaginal steaming. There are lots of benefits that come with yoni steaming, such as cleansing yourself in your uterus, help regulate the menstrual cycle, including if you have a heavier flow, ease the pain of period cramps, and help soothe any discomfort you might have with your yoni. I support Favona brand because they support women and they help women learn to take care of themselves and cherish the bodies that they live in. The Favona brand was kind enough to offer my subscribers a promo code for their next yoni steaming kit. If you use my code TONY, you will be able to receive 30% off of any black yoni steaming kit. I highly recommend this brand. It is amazing, and just for wellness and taking care of yourself, you guys know that's a big thing for me. Thank you so much, Favona brand, for sponsoring this segment of the video, and without further ado, let's get straight into this video. So let's go back to the start of this video. Is it a preference or are you just racist? This is an ongoing question that constantly goes on when there's the constant question of what is a preference and when is it considered racist. But in order to fully and thoroughly decipher whether or not a preference is racist, we have to get to the definition of what a preference is. According to Urban Dictionary, a preference is a politically correct and evasive term for racist dating. Many people come up with this as an excuse to only date particular races because they, quote, cannot help being attracted to a specific group of people, end quote.
Yes, sir! This nigga spitting. Damn, nigga!
Don't shoot the messenger, but I don't think Urban Dictionary is too far off. So with this general definition of what Urban Dictionary thinks a preference is, this goes into my next question for you. What happens if your dating preferences are determined by European racist beauty standards that are told to us in society? In a 2014 study by OkCupid, which is a popular dating app, I would say, I use the app once, it's actually in my top favorite dating apps of 2021. OkCupid users ranked black women and Asian men as the least attractive race and least desirable, and they got that statistic from what people would select whenever they swipe left or swiped right. On the contrary, white men were ranked the highest among all women, and black women were seen as the least desirable by all men. With this evidence, by a small demographic, I would say, because not everyone uses OkCupid, other studies have shown that black women in the United States of America marry less than others, and the number is even lower by darker-skinned black women. Another study done a few years back was on a Facebook app called Are You Interested? From their stats, they gathered that black men and women got the lowest response rates to their messages. All women, except black women, were most drawn to white men. There we go, white men again. Listen to this. And men of all races were attracted primarily to Asian women. Y'all have something cooking up from all this information, okay? So from these studies, we gather that white men and Asian women are most desired. On the contrary, black women and Asian men are least desired. And both of these groups are the main groups that complain about their opposite gender consistently dating outside their race. Black men also, I will say, they're not far behind Asian men as least desired, but it's black women's loyalty to black men, because if you heard me correctly, I said that all the other races of women preferred white men besides black women. Black women preferred black men more from the study that was done with that particular dating app. And this is seen time and time again, black women primarily dating black men. But then from the research that I did, it showed that all men tend to typically date outside their race, including black men. So black men are more prone to date outside their race. And I'm not taking away from the fact that 80% of black men do marry black women. I'm just talking about from research and data, the men that date most outside their race are black men, and the women that that date the most outside their race are Asian women. The least desired groups, their own people from the opposite gender, don't want them, right? Is that what y'all are getting? Like I said, Black women, Asian men. Black men tend to date outside their race more, and Asian women tend to date outside their race more. Both those numbers are incredibly high. You're probably wondering where I'm getting with this. In media, there are lots of negative stereotypes that come towards Black women, darker skinned Black women, and even Asian men I'm going to speak for as well. In media, time and time again, we see Black women as violent, loudmouthed, have a bad attitude, seen as unattractive, promiscuous, etc., etc. We get every name in the book. In terms of Asian men, we hear lots of things, I guess I would say more so in the genitalia department, that I cannot confirm or deny, but that is a common theme that they don't produce well enough in your intimate timing, okay? There's not a lot to display. But at the same time, when you come to a country like America, the country that's supposed to be the big melting pot, there are a lot of negative stereotypes and racism that affects lots of people. In a lot of different races and cultures, I will say, and this is just from strictly what I see, this is not a deemed fact. If I have research and evidence to back it up, I'll let y'all know. This is based off of right now, off of my personal experience. Black people, we are taught not to necessarily conform to the white culture or white understanding of life. We have a very strong independent culture where we're going to be us at the end of the day. Whereas a lot of immigrants that may come from other countries that can be depicted as closer to white, the European beauty standard, they will try to adapt to that white culture so that they can elevate in life. And that's mainly because what group is the richest and wealthiest in America? White people. So they tend to adapt to that, and that may be the reason why a lot of Asian women will date outside of their race, because they're constantly in white spaces, well, whiter spaces, whichever. And Black people, we are automatically typecasted out, so we kind of build our own community. And I see this all the time. Even when I was in college, you would see the Black and even Hispanic communities creating their own community together, and a lot of the times the Asian community would kind of intertwine with the white community. Now let's get into media aside from being in the real world. Media is what we consume every day. It's a huge part of our life and our early childhood development. When you constantly see the star of every movie being the white blonde girl with blue eyes, and that white blonde girl has lots of money, then you also see when it comes to white men are constantly in leadership positions. Then you have in media your Leonardo DiCaprios, you have your Ryan Goslings, Ryan Reynolds, you have all these people, these main stars that are seen as beautiful, attractive, and the wealthiest people in government roles. They're all always white. That's all we see. On the contrary, Black women, like I said, you see them more in negative environments. This is why I don't like the network Zeus, because I feel like Zeus exploits Black women a lot, but that's besides the point. You see them on Love and Hip Hop. You see them on Flavor of Love, Real Housewives of Atlanta. And yes, we know there's several Real Housewives of this, and this, but things that white women do, Black women can't do without being deemed as ghetto, but that's besides the point. But you see all that. This is all negative, negative, negative. That's all you see. Loudmouth, ratchet, fighting, gross. They don't speak properly. You see all this. Would that not make them less of a preference to you, regardless of looks? And then you see the white savior, the white man, the knight in shining armor, the way they're displayed in the real world and the way they're displayed in media. That would be a preference. And that's why the white man's the preference, and that's why the Black woman is not the preference. If you remember from some of my data, you see that Asian women were deemed as the most attractive on OkCupid to several groups. Why do you think that is? Everybody likes something that's different. Asian women can be seen as what men would say exotic. It's different, but they're still close to white. They're not too much out of the picture. They're close enough where I can date someone that's Asian. It still is like passing. It's acceptable. Black women is just, it's too far out of the way. And I think that's what frustrates me the most when it comes to the way Black women are portrayed in media, because the Black women I associate myself with are high class, do very well for themselves, educated, beautiful, all of that. But if you're constantly seeing one lens, then I could see you not looking at the Black woman as the preference. So as I stated in lots of data, Black men also are seen as unattractive in groups. And even with this app that I discussed, the Are You Interested app, Black men weren't far behind Asian men. That's what's really funny, because a lot of the times there's the constant debate of Black men only want white women when they get wealthy, so on and so forth. I hate to say it, but it's not too far-fetched. Black men are not the most desired. They have lots of negative stereotypes that are the complete opposite of the white man. White women say it all the time. A big reason why black women will see a lot of black men that make lots of money and they start dating outside their race, and they're always dating this white woman that you're like, hey, like there's so many more beautiful black women that look better than this girl, are just as qualified as this girl, whatever you guys want to say, whatever that information is. A lot of the times, black men will get successful, they will do well, and then they're now seen as desired because they have the money of the white man, but then also a lot of black men are objectified and sexualized, same as black women, because black women are seen as promiscuous and they are overly sexualized, especially in media. There's an intrigueness to the black man that some white women will be interested in trying it out, and they're like, oh, and he also has money? Some white women will date outside their race and date a black man to be rebellious because they know their father would hate it. And then black men will accept that white woman, and I'm not saying it's all white women that do this and only date black men if they're rich and only date black men if they're athletes. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm speaking about a specific group. If that is the case, the ones that have the dating preference, they will date that said white girl because they didn't think that they could get that white girl before because they didn't have the money to back it up with. So this is like their trophy. They have the white girl. They got what they were told they weren't able to ever get. And this goes back to slavery days, quite frankly. There's so much evidence behind this, and I kind of want to do a video on it. I did a video almost 2 years ago about this topic, and I made a lot of black men upset, but I think I could do the video a lot better now because I'm older and more educated. I think I could do a lot better. So what does all this tie into with black women being less desired or whatever? That has to do with implicit bias. I learned what implicit bias was in my psychology class back in like 2019. I remember I was a sophomore in college, and ever since I learned what implicit bias was, it applies to almost every situation where there is some form of racism. And I'm going to tell you guys what implicit bias is if you don't know what it is. So on perception.org, they use the term implicit bias to describe when we have attitudes towards people or associate stereotypes with them without our conscious knowledge. So if you are constantly being told that the black woman is loudmouthed, she doesn't have anything going for herself, she's ratchet, she's ghetto, she's someone you can't take to a high-class event, this is what you always see in media, you're going to deem that person as unattractive or not your type, not your preference, because this is what you see all the time. Implicit bias can be catered to even white men. You see a white man, you automatically feel like, oh my god, he has money, he can protect me, he can save me, so on and so forth. You see the white woman, oh, she's dainty, she's sweet, she's innocent, she's non-violent. I also feel like implicit bias is strongly reflected in the legal system and law enforcement, the courtroom, all the time. People won't even realize they're being racist or biased because it's unconscious. You don't realize that you're doing it, but you're using the knowledge that you've seen and then you're putting it to that person, even if it doesn't define that person or you have no reason to think that it defines that person. We're told the darker, the uglier, the closer to white, the better. We're literally told that every single day. It takes a strong mind to break from those cycles, and I also feel a lot of black women are more woke when it comes to that versus black men. Obviously, this is not all black men because we got Dr. Umar on our side, but a lot of the times I feel like more black women are having these discussions. Also because women in general, we just talk more. I think we would think deeper in that sense when it comes to something as major as this topic. Regardless of the black man stereotypes, there's this feeling of endearment towards black men still because we know stereotypes is something that is added to our character every single day. And I also want to say in terms of preference, whenever someone of the same race blatantly dates outside their race and says that this is my preference, I feel like that's incredibly weird, okay? That goes for white men that say, oh, I only date black women, or white women that say I only date black men, or black men that might say I only date white women, or I only date Hispanic women. I think it's very weird for you to go against your race. I think that's odd. Most people naturally will gravitate towards their own race because it's what's comfortable. There's similar cultures, similar understandings when it comes to jokes, like the inside jokes, like, you know how black people, we get it, you know what I mean? You got it, I got it. It's that understanding of things. I'm sure there's white humor and things of that sort. There's like a familiarity that comes with dating someone within your own race. So for you to like immediately eradicate dating inside your own race, that's a bit weird to me. If a man outside of my race comes up to me and says, hey, chocolate sister, I only like black women because y'all ... That's weird to me. That's a turn off. I don't like that. Don't call me food. My name is Tony. You don't have to do all of that, okay? I know there are some reasons why some people might want to step outside their race, because say it's a black man that came from an impoverished area and he constantly sees the violence, the fighting, the yelling when it comes to black women. I get that to a certain extent, but I just think it's just odd. very, very odd to just turn down and shut down an entire race of people, especially when it's your own people. And just to close off, when it comes back to my question, is it a preference or are you just racist? Sorry, but a race can't be a preference. To me, attractive is attractive. I've always said I naturally have always gravitated towards black men because that's what I'm familiar with. I have a black father, black uncles. I grew up around primarily black people. So yeah, that is what I'm mostly attracted to. But I would never say in a million years, oh, I only date black men. And I would never step outside my race. Do I want a black husband? Absolutely. I would love to have a black husband and black children. But if someone steps in the picture and is able to do what I need them to do, and I find them physically attractive, then of course I would date them. It's not a problem. That's why I say Xing out an entire race or group of people, that is weird. And you are slightly, I wouldn't say racist, I would say colorist in that way. Because some people will date a dark-skinned Asian woman because she has more European beauty features, but won't date a dark-skinned black woman because she has more ethnic African features, should I say. But I, of course, want to know what you guys think on my research and my commentary on this video. Do you think that having a preference is racist, or do you think it's okay to have a preference when it comes to race? Please share your opinions in the comments down below. Of course, please always be respectful. You can have an opinion without being disrespectful. It's not that difficult to do, but you know, I know some of y'all need that reminder. Check out the wonderful website, the tonibryanne. Like literally, guys, check them out. It's such a nice website. They have so many cute things. I have a little yoni steaming kit myself, so I love it. And thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all the love and support. And I will see you all in my next video. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.